Hi, welcome to This Month in RAD Studio for April 2019. I'm Malcolm Groves from Code Partners. So first up, I want to talk a little bit about the RAD Studio 10.3.1 update. Now, it came out earlier this year, so that hasn't happened this month. But I still regularly come across people who aren't aware that in addition to bugs being fixed in point releases and in update packs, what used to be called update packs, Embarcadero for a while now have been including new features, and this month they've released a couple of videos highlighting some new IDE features, and in particular editor features that I'm regularly finding people aren't aware of. The first one of these is the new Navigator feature inside RAD Studio. This gives you effectively a high levels, very zoomed out view of your source code in the right hand side of your editor. It allows you to really quickly jump to different places in your source code. It's not zoomed in enough that you can actually read the source code, but you can see the outline of the source code, and depending on how you format things, you can see breaks between methods and long methods and short methods. And once you get used to it, as a replacement for your scroll bar on the right-hand side of your editor, it becomes really fast. It's like a scroll bar that gives you context, it gives you the shape of your source code as well. Another video that they have made available, short video, is for another IDE feature, which is the enhanced bookmark support. So if you've ever used bookmarks, inside the editor using Control Shift and then a number, Control Shift 1, Control Shift 2 to create them, and then Control 1, Control 2 to navigate back to them. It's really handy. I find it really useful for jumping between definitions of one class, definitions of something, a class, and where I'm going to use it. Really handy, but really easy to forget where you've dropped this bookmarks. Is 2 my definition of my class, or did I make that 3? It gets, once you've dropped a few bookmarks, it gets quite hard. So the new bookmarks feature inside the IDE is a really useful way to be able to keep track of that much more visually. The other thing that I want to highlight in the 10.3.1 release, which again I don't think many people have realized, is the updated RAD Server console, web console. It's always had a web console, but in the past it's been, while functional, it's been not terribly attractive to use. Now that Embarcadero have taken over Sencha, the XJS people, they've used XJS to really dramatically improve the usability of the RAD Server console. So while the functionality is the same, it's much nicer to navigate around inside it, much more attractive environment to be working in. So all of these things, if you're eligible for the 10.3.1 update in RAD Studio, you'll have access to these things. While we're on Embarcadero, the other thing that I want to highlight is that the replay for their recent webinar on different web development frameworks that you can use from RAD Studio, the replay is now available. So it's quite a good rundown on a whole bunch of in-the-box and third-party web development frameworks that you can use with either Delphi or C++ Builder. Strengths, different approaches, pros and cons. So if you've been looking at, this is a question we get a lot from RAD Studio developers on how they can, what their choices are for approaching web development. So this is a really great, an hour summary between Marco and Jim McKeith, going through the different options and the different approaches they take and where they might be useful and where they might be not so useful. Yeah, so it helps you make a bit more of an informed choice. Okay. One of the component sets that I've been a fan of for quite a while is TMS's Cloud Pack. These are components that give you really easy access to cloud-based services. Like, for example, if you want to integrate with Dropbox from within your application, you could drop down one of these components and just really easily get access to it. Yeah. One of the nice things that they've announced is that the Cloud Pack is now available for FNC. Now, if you're not aware of what TMS's FNC is, These are basically cross-platform, I guess, for want of a better word, components that you can use in both VCL, FMX, in WebCore, I believe, inside TMS's WebCore web development framework, and also others, I think. So these let you use the same set of components across a whole bunch of different environments. Yeah. So they've announced that the Cloud Pack is now available for FNC. I think it's available in beta at the time of recording this, but definitely worth checking out if you need to integrate with some of these third-party cloud providers or cloud services. The TMS FNC Cloud Pack is a great way to do it. Okay, in more third-party component news, this one, maybe I'm stretching the boundaries of RAD Studio this month a little bit. This was actually announced earlier in the year, but I missed it. I only found out about it this month, so for my purposes, I'm going to treat it as being this month. Big news, I think, is that DevExpress, which are a really well-known third-party component provider in the VCL space for RAD Studio, have announced that they are taking their grid, which is a very popular grid in the VCL side, they're taking their grid to FMX. So they're going to support Embarcadero's cross-platform framework with their grid, probably their most popular VCL component set. And what's even cooler is that this was based on a survey they did to their customers. And a pretty significant chunk of their customers said that their highest priority was having the DevExpress Grid available in FireMonkey. So really cool news. There's a link to this and all the other stories in the show notes, but they talk about when it's going to be available. Go and check it out if you're a DevExpress customer, or if you've been a fan of their grid and want it available in FireMonkey, then go and check it out to see when betas will be available. Another third-party piece of news is you may be aware of a product called Lika. This is a tool for helping you track down, detect and also track down the cause of leaks, all sorts of different leaks. Could be just memory leaks or resource leaks or all sorts of leaks inside your applications. This is an application that's been available, or a tool that's been available in the C# world for a while. They've announced support for RAD Studio, which is really cool. So again, it's a commercial tool, but I've never used it, but I've heard really positive things from people that I've worked with in the C# world. So having this available in the RAD Studio world for Delphi and C++ Builder, I believe, is pretty cool development. And last but not least, we have some new book news for Delphi. Primoz Gabrielčík, and I'm almost certain I mangled that name, I'm sorry Primoz, but Primoz, who you might know from the OmniThread library world, the really awesome parallel programming library for Delphi, has written a book, another book, because he's already written some others. This one's called, let me just check, Hands-on Design Patterns with Delphi. This is a really great read. I ordered it, I think, when it first came out, or maybe even slightly before it came out. And I've been reading through it since. This is not just your, here's how you do a factory in Delphi, or here's how you do a singleton. This is a really deep dive into patterns, implementing patterns in Delphi using modern language features. Yeah. So really great, and a really great read to just dip into. You know, you don't have to read it from cover to cover. You can just jump into a particular chapter that's interesting to you and read through it. So really highly recommended. The link to that book and all the other items we've mentioned in the show are available in the show notes just below the video. So check out any of those that might be interesting to you. While you're there, if you want to see more of these videos, please subscribe to the channel. Then you'll automatically get notified when we release a new video, as well as there's links to following us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and wherever else you might be interested in following these things. Have a great month. We'll be back next month with another update on the new happenings in the RAD Studio world. Cheers.